What's up everyone, Piscean here. In this video, I'm bringing to you, with the help of Perplexity AI Agent, a solar system astrocartography map. And this includes planetary angularity lines and relocation analysis. This is a very detailed PDF we have here to go over, 29 pages. And before we get started, I want to give a quick disclaimer because it's in the PDF, and it's always usually at the bottom and I forget, so until the end of the video. So disclaimer here, astrocartography and locational astrology are presented in this report for entertainment, educational, and reflective purposes only. The planetary influences described are interpretive frameworks, not scientifically validated phenomena. This report should not be used as a sole or primary basis for major life decisions, including relocation, career changes, relationship decisions, or financial choices. Always consult qualified professionals for legal, financial, medical, and psychological guidance. The authors and publishers of this report accept no liability for decisions made based on its contents. And this would be AI, because that's who generated it, specifically Perplexity. But shout out Perplexity for coming up with this great PDF. And with the computer, just basic perplexity computer, illustrated for entertainment and educational purposes. So, also please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare and care, with peace and love to keep your girl in the algorithm. Apparently, you need like 8,000 watch hours to even get monetized on YouTube, unless you have a viral video, of course. So, let's get into this PDF here. We have some contents to get into. Of course, the nubby grubby, the grub of it, the intersexual grub. So about the report, understanding the illustrative nature and methodology, astrocartography primer, what angularity lines are and how to read them, and also that's when I titled my video ACG, I'm literally just abbreviating astrocartography. And then solar system map, full world map with all 10 planetary bodies. What we're going to do is go into the solar system astrocartography. So this is going to be, I've never seen anybody do this. Please share this video out there in the astrology algorithm. Get me more views with peace and love. Planetary interpretations, detailed analysis for each of the 10 bodies. Planetary line reference, quick reference table of all angular lines. As well as relocation rankings, comparative scoring of 10 major world cities, city-by-city analysis, in-depth profiles for each relocation candidate, synthesis by life theme, best locations for career, love, creativity, and more, and glossary and appendix with key terms, assumptions, limitations, and disclaimers. So we already went over that. But the rest of this, let's get into. So about this report, purpose and scope. So this report presents a comprehensive solar system ACG map with detailed relocation analysis for 10 major world cities. ACG is a practice of mapping planetary angularity lines across the Earth's surface to identify geographic locations where specific planetary energies are most prominently expressed in a person's life. Okay, so now we're going to look at the illustrative nature. And this is an illustrative template report. There will be a lot of visuals. The planetary angularity lines shown in this document are conceptually placed for demonstration purposes and do not represent the ACG of any specific individual. A true ACG map requires precise birth data, such as the birth date, exact birth time, and birth location, to calculate the positions of all 10 planetary bodies, the Sun through Pluto, and their angular relationships to the local horizon at the moment of birth. If you would like a personalized ACG report, please provide your birth date, exact birth time, ideally from a birth certificate and birth city. Analysis can then be computed using professional ephemeris data, Swiss ephemeris or equivalent, for accurate results. Alright, methodology overview. So ACG works by projecting the positions of the planets at the birth moment onto the Earth's surface. At any given moment, each planet occupies a specific longitude where it is on the midheaven, or MC, and corresponding longitudes where it is on the ASC ascendant, DSC descendant, and the ICE homunculi. So these 4 angular points create vertical lines on the world map and locations within approximately 200 through 300 km of a line field that planets influence most strongly. So this is what this report includes. See our section in our contents. So first we see a solar system map, and that's going to be a world map with all 10 planetary bodies and their angular lines, planetary interpretations for what we just went over, angles, Sun through Pluto, line reference table, quick reference of all 40 angular lines, being 10 planets multiplied by 4 angles, relocation rankings, comparative scoring of 10 cities across life dimensions, city profiles, detailed analysis of career, relationships, home, and creativity per city, thematic synthesis, best locations for career, love, creativity, transformation, rest, glossary and appendix, key terms, assumptions, limitations, and disclaimer, which again we already went over. So, into the ACG primer now. So what is ACG? I've talked about this in other videos. So essentially, it was developed in the 1970s. It maps the angular relationships between planets and the Earth's horizon at the moment of birth. The result is a world map overlaid with lines showing where each planet is angular, that is, where it sits on one of the 4 cardinal points of the local horizon system. At any location on Earth, the sky is divided into 4 angular sectors. These angles are the foundation of ACG. Midheaven, MC, is public life, meaning career, reputation, public visibility, authority, how the world sees you, the highest point in the chart, what you are known for. The Munkole IC, private life, being your home, family, roots, inner foundation, ancestry, private self, the lowest point, your base and foundation. Ascendant, ASC, self and identity, self-expression, personality, how others see you, new beginnings, personal energy, and approach to life. And the Descendant, or DSC, partnerships, relationships, marriage, business partnerships, what you attract, how you relate to others. How do we read these lines? So each planet generates 4 lines on the ACG map, 1 for each angle. And these lines run roughly north-south, letters NCIC, or diagonally ASC, DSC, though in this simplified projection they appear as vertical longitude lines. When you are within approximately 200 through 300 km of a line, that planet's energy is strongly activated in the corresponding life domain. So, distance bands and orb of influence. The strength of a planetary line's influence diminishes with distance from the line. So, distance from line, influence level, and effect. So 0 through 100 km is very strong. The dominant planetary influence in the corresponding life domain. And 100 through 200 km is strong, being significant and noticeable influence, a primary factor in daily life. And moving on to 200 through 400 km, being moderate, present but secondary, colors that experience without dominating. And a 400 km or more is weak background, minimal direct influence, may still contribute subtle background effects. And interpreting combinations. So most locations are influenced by more than one planetary line simultaneously. When 2 or more lines converge near a location, their energies blend, sometimes harmoniously, sometimes with tension. For example, a city near both a Venus ascendant line and a Mars midheaven line would enhance personal charm and attractiveness, which is Venus ascendant, while also energizing that career drive and ambition, the Mars midheaven. Understanding these combinations is the essence of relocation analysis. No location is universally good or bad. Each place activates different planetary energies that are better or worse, suited to your current life goals. A location that is excellent for career may be challenging for relationships and vice versa. The art of relocation astrology is matching the right planetary influences to your current life priorities. Okay, so this is the solar system map right here. And this, as you can see, solar system, ACG map, illustrated planetary angularity lines for all 10 bodies. Sun through Pluto with 4 angular types per planet, and city markers to show relocation candidates with the lines conceptually placed for demonstration. So here are the planetary bodies. You see there's the sun right here. Might actually just size them. The moon, we're going to make it gray. Red is Mars. We might switch it up a little bit. Uranus, blue. Venus, pink. Mercury, neon. Saturn. Make it white. Neptune. Oops. So, as we can see here, there's also the angular types. So, we see that this complete white line is the midheaven, while the two splits is the IC, the dots are the DSC, and one line with the dot at the MC ascendant. So for example, on this side we see our latitude, and we see our longitude at the bottom. Going all the way to 180, and longitude all the way back to negative 180, negative 180 down to 60 up. So we see certain locations here, like for example, Los Angeles is running through what line? Mercury. Right there. And then Mexico City is doing its thing with, actually it's right on the midheaven, excuse me, LA is right on the Earth's midheaven, the solar system's midheaven. Mexico City is on the descendant, as well as Minneapolis. Mexico City in regards to, I think that's Jupiter? It's kind of hard to tell with some of the colors being different, but we can see all the, this is really cool. If you can interpret this with peace and love in the comments, go ahead and feel free to. We see LA, Minneapolis, Mexico City, New York, London, Paris, Bali, Sydney, Tokyo, and Buenos Aires. So here's how we read the map without looking at it. We'll get into it. So colors represent the 10 planetary bodies. That's what that is. And line styles indicate the angular type. So solid lines, of course, the midheaven. We saw the dashed Xi Moon Coli, and dash dot is the ascendant, with dotted being the descendant. Cities located near where lines converge experience the blended influence of multiple planets. That's probably why, you know, Minneapolis is always popping off, and LA and New York, and this tells us a lot about certain places, for sure. The astrological interpretation of specific cities and states is very interesting to me. So planetary interpretations. We see each of the 10 solar system bodies governs a distinct set of life themes, and basically we would just go over when a planet's angularity line passes near your location. It seems to become prominent in the corresponding life domain, and below would be a detailed interpretation for each planet across all 4 angles. So we know the sun is our vitality, self-expression, creative purpose, leadership, and recognition. And the sun on the midheaven is public visibility, authority, being seen, excellent for career advancement and leadership roles. Sun on the IC is deep sense of personal roots, feeling centered in who you are, strong home identity. Sun on the ascendant is radiant self-expression, magnetic personality, opportunities for personal reinvention. And sun on the descendant is partnerships centered around shared creative vision, relationships that bring recognition. This would be best for career ambition, creative self-expression, seeking recognition, and cautionist, it can amplify the ego, pride, or need for constant attention. So that's what we would really get into. And going further down, we just go into Pluto. So the moon, its core themes, but on the midheaven, it's public emotional resonance, career involving care, food, home, women's issues, or public feeling. On the IC, moon, profound emotional roots, feeling deeply at home in social connection, ideal for settling down. Moon on the ascendant, heightened emotional sensitivity and intuition, approachable, nurturing presence. And moon on the descendant is emotionally attuned partnerships. Relationships, I feel like family, maternal, paternal dynamics. This is best for family life, emotional healing, building a home, spiritual retreat. And the caution is emotional volatility, homesickness, and oversensitivity to the environment. Right, Mercury. On the midheaven, it's career in writing, teaching, media, commerce or tech, public intellectual presence. Mercury on the IC is mental stimulation in private life, ideal home, office, or study environment, intellectual roots. On the ascendant, Mercury enhanced communication skills, quick thinking, ease of self-expression, and networking. In Mercury on the descendant, partnerships built on intellectual rapport, communicative relationships, business partnerships. It's best for study, writing, business, teaching, networking, tech careers. Caution is mental restlessness, scattered focus, overthinking, and nervous tension. Venus on the midheaven is career in arts, design, beauty, diplomacy, or luxury, public charm, and likability. On the IC, it's beautiful, harmonious home environment, deep aesthetic satisfaction in domestic life. On the ascendant, it's magnetic attractiveness, artistic self-expression, ease in social and romantic situations. And on the descendant, it's ideal for finding love, harmonious partnerships, relationships defined by beauty and affection. It's best for finding love, artistic careers, social life, aesthetic pursuits, financial opportunities, cautious indulgence, vanity, superficiality, and codependency. Mars on the midheaven. It's career requiring drive, competition, or physical prowess, entrepreneurial energy, public assertiveness. On the IC, it's energetic home life, a need for physical activity at home, sometimes domestic disputes. On the ascendant, it's bold, courageous self-presentation, pioneering spirit, high physical energy, and initiative. And on the descendant, it's passionate, dynamic partnerships, relationships with spark and intensity, potential for conflict. So Mars is best for entrepreneurship, athletics, competitive careers, taking bold initiative, physical energy, and caution is conflict, impulsiveness, aggression, burnout, accidents. Jupiter. Alright, on the midheaven, Jupiter is career expansion, public recognition, publishing, teaching at scale, opportunities for prominence. On the IC, it's expansive, generous home life, growing family, or property, feeling blessed in the domestic sphere. The ascendant is optimistic, generous presence, natural luck, and opportunity, growth through self-expansion. On the descendant, it's beneficial partnerships, relationships that bring growth and abundance, marriage opportunities. It's best for wealth building, career growth, travel, education, publishing, spiritual seeking, and caution is overextension, complacency, excess, weight gain, and unrealistic optimism. Saturn on the midheaven is career peak, positions of authority and responsibility, long-term professional achievement and respect. On the IC, it's stable, structured home, deep sense of duty to the family, building lasting foundations. On the ascendant is serious, responsible self-presentation, disciplined approach to life, maturation and gravitas. And on the descendant, committed long-term partnerships, relationships with age or authority dynamics, enduring bonds. Saturn is best for career stability, long-term commitments, building structures, mastering and discipline. Caution is heaviness, depression, isolation, excessive limitation, delays, and feeling burdened. Uranus on the MC is career in tech, innovation and reform, unconventional public paths, sudden career changes. On the IC, it's unusual or constantly changing home life, unconventional arrangements, need for freedom at home. On the ascendant, it's unique, eccentric self-expression, desire for freedom and originality, sudden identity shifts. And on the descendant is unconventional partnerships, exciting but unstable relationships, need for freedom within bonds. So Uranus is best for innovation, tech, reinvention, breaking free, creative disruption, and originality, caution, instability, unpredictability, restlessness, sudden disruptions, and difficulty committing. And we finish up with Neptune and Pluto. So Neptune on the midheaven is career in arts, film, music, spirituality, healing or charity, idealized public image, inspirational presence. Neptune on the IC is dreamy spiritual home life, ideal living environment, sometimes confusion about where you belong. Neptune on the ascendant is mystical, compassionate, artistic presence, heightened sensitivity, and psychic awareness. And Neptune on the descendant is soulful, romantic partnerships, idealized relationships, potential for disillusionment or deception. Neptune is best for spiritual growth, artistic inspiration, healing, meditation, creative arts, and compassion. Caution with Neptune is confusion, deception, escapism, idealization, boundary issues, and addictions. Pluto on the midheaven is career involving power, transformation, research, psychology or depth work, public influence, and authority. Pluto on the IC is deep psychological transformation through home and family, ancestral healing, intense domestic experiences. Pluto on the ascendant is powerful, magnetic, intense self-presentation, personal transformation, and reinvention. And Pluto on the descendant is intense, transformative partnerships, power dynamics and relationships, deep psychological bonds. Pluto is best for deep transformation, psychological work, power and influence, reinvention, and research. Caution with Pluto has power struggles, control issues, obsessive dynamics, intensity, crisis, and upheaval. Alrighty. Let's talk about this planetary line reference. And this is a quick reference table of all 40 angular lines with their illustrative longitudes and primary life domain focus. You can use this table to identify which planetary lines pass near cities of interest. So, as we can see, there's planet, angle, longitude, life domain. And I'll go over this note real quick with y'all. The longitudes are illustrative and randomly generated for this template report. In a personalized report, these values are computed from exact birth data using the Swiss ephemeris. So for example, Sun on the midheaven with a longitude of 41 degrees west is your public life. Sun on the ascendant, on the IC, Imum Coli, is 137 degrees east, that's your private life. Sun on the ascendant at 47 degrees east is your self and identity. And Sun on the descendant at 133 degrees west is your partnerships. Moon on the midheaven at 113 degrees west is your public life. Moon on the IC at 70 degrees east is your private life. Moon on the ascendant at 19 degrees west is your self and identity. Moon on the descendant at 162 degrees east is partnerships. Mercury on the midheaven, 52 degrees west, public life. Mercury IC, 134 degrees E, private life. Mercury ascendant, 46 degrees E, self and identity. Mercury descendant, 134 degrees W, partnerships. Venus on the MC, 81 degrees E, public life. Venus IC, 95 degrees W, private life. Venus ASC, 171 degrees E, self and identity. Venus on the DSC, 2 degrees W, partnerships. Alright, so we go back and forth. So public life, private life, self-identity, partnerships. And then over and over. Until we finish up with all our planets and angles. So Mars, MC, 84 degrees W, public life. Mars IC, 101 degrees E, private life. Mars ASC, 9 degrees E, self and identity. Mars DSC, 175 degrees W, partnership. Jupiter MC, 1 degrees W, public life. Jupiter IC, 175 degrees E, private life. Jupiter ASC, 85 degree E, self and identity. Jupiter on DSC, 88 degree W, partnerships. Saturn on the MC, 34 degrees W, public life. Saturn on the IC, 145 degrees E, private life. Saturn on the ASC, 51 degrees E, self and identity. Saturn on the DSC, 129 degrees W, partnerships. Uranus on the MC at 76 degrees W, public life. Uranus IC, 104 degrees E, private life. Uranus ascendant, 16 degrees E, self and identity. Uranus DSC, 159 degrees W, partnerships. Neptune on the MC, 58 degrees E, public life. Neptune on the IC, 123 degrees W, private life. Neptune on the ASC, 140 degrees E, self and identity. Neptune on the DSC, 40 degrees W, partnerships. Pluto on the MC, 62 degrees W, public life. Pluto on the IC, 114 degrees E, private life. Pluto on the ASC, 24 degrees E, self and identity. Pluto on the DSC, 148 degrees W, partnerships. There we go. Relocation rankings. The table below ranks all 10 relocation candidate cities by their overall ACG score. Scores 1 to 10 reflect the combined strength and favorability of the nearest planetary lines, weighted across career, relationships, home life, and creative potential. So we've got the rank, city, nearest lines, distance band, score, and best floor. And we're ranking all the way to 10 in scoring methodology. So scores are based on proximity to favorable planetary lines, quality of the planetary combination, harmonious versus tense, breadth of life domains positively activated, and alignment with common relocation goals, career, love, home, creativity. A score of 9 to 10 indicates an excellent location. A score of 7 through 8 is very good. 5 to 6, moderate. Below 5 suggests significant challenges. So, scale our rank here. So at first, we see New York, the nearest lines being Jupiter midheaven in the Mars ascendant, within 150 km of Jupiter in midheaven line. This is our score right here. So it's best for career ambition, entrepreneurship, public recognition, fast-paced lifestyle, and large-scale ventures. Next, we see Paris, France, with Venus ascendant and Moon IC, within 120 km of Venus ascendant line. Love and romance, artistic careers, aesthetic living, cultural immersion, emotional fulfillment. Alright. And then we go down, we see LA, with the Venus MC, Neptune ascendant, within 100 km of Venus MC line. And just going further on to what we saw on the map. Tokyo, Japan, with the Uranus MC, Saturn ASC, within 180 km of Uranus MC line. Sydney, Australia, Jupiter ascendant, Sun descendant, within 220 km of Jupiter ascendant line. Buenos Aires, Argentina, Mars midheaven, Venus descendant, within 200 km of Mars midheaven line. Minneapolis, Saturn midheaven, with Mercury ascendant, within 250 km of Saturn midheaven line. London, Saturn midheaven, Mercury descendant, within 200 km of Saturn midheaven line. Bali, Indonesia, Neptune midheaven, Moon ascendant, within 100 km of Neptune midheaven line. And Mexico City, Mexico, with Pluto midheaven, Sun ascendant, within 160 km of Pluto midheaven line. In regards for the distance band, by the way. Alright, and then city by city analysis. We'll just give you a quick example here. So, like, Minneapolis, which I personally wouldn't recommend you move to, but here's the coordinates, nearest lines, distance, and overall score. And then we see challenges and what it's best for. So with career and public life being the midheaven, relationships and love being the descendant, home and family being the IC, and creativity and expression being the ascendant. So Saturn midheaven brings discipline, structure, and long-term career building, excellent for establishing professional authority and building lasting institutions. Mercury ascendant enhances communication and networking. Relationships and love, we see Saturnian influence favors committed, enduring partnerships built on shared responsibility. You may feel serious or duty-bound in relationships, but bonds are lasting. Home and family, strong IC resonance suggests deep roots. Saturn IC favors building a stable, structured home. The twin cities, Saturn 9 energy supports patient, methodical growth. And creativity and expression, Mercury ascendant supports intellectual and literary creativity, best for writing, teaching, and communicative arts rather than purely expressive or performative art. So challenges here, Saturn can bring heaviness, delays, and a sense of limitation. Winters may feel Saturnine, risk of feeling burdened by responsibility. It's best for career stability, long-term planning, building expertise, discipline, creative work. And that's just an example. And then going on to New York, LA, London, Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, Bali, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, and then we get a synthesis here, which is really cool. So like for a specific life theme, let's say career and ambition, we get the top locations. New York because of Jupiter MC, as well as London because of its Saturn MC, and Mexico City because of its Pluto MC. And we see the key lines, and it says it's rationale. Jupiter expands opportunity and visibility. Saturn builds authority and structure, and Pluto brings power and transformation in public life. So that's really cool. Glossary of terms here. We went over quite a bit. Assumptions and limitations I do want to get into, and then we'll close up here. So illustrative lines. Planetary angularity lines in this report are conceptually placed and do not correspond to any individual's birth chart. They demonstrate the format, structure, and interpretive depth of a professional ACG report. Simplified projection. The world map uses a simplified equirectangular projection with stylized continent shapes. Ascendant and descendant lines, which actually curve diagonally, are shown as vertical for visual simplicity. A professional report will use precise spherical projections. Single factor analysis. This report evaluates only planetary angularity lines. A complete relocation analysis would also consider local space lines, Paran lines, secondary progressions, transits, and the full relocated natal chart. And no birth data. Without specific birth data, date, exact time, location, no personalized ACG can be computed. This template demonstrates the analytical framework and interpretive style. And then we also get sources and references. Really cool. Jim Lewis, ACG, Astro.com, and Swiss Ephemeris. Thank you for watching this video with peace and love. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, see you and out.